Hello, people of the internet, and welcome to a very special episode. I will be teaching you guys how to play the best game in the entire world. This game is called Dwarf Fortress. So, as soon as you start up this game's completely free. It's made by a single programmer, and his older brother helps him with PR stuff and some programming. So the first thing you want to do when you get onto this menu is create a new world. So it will load up all the object files. It gives you this little message. You press escape to continue. And for this game, I know you love your mouse, but I just want you to put it to the side because you will not be using it. You navigate this menu by using the arrow keys and enter. So let's see here. So when you create a world, it gives you all these different preferences you can set. First, it shows you the world size. For this demonstration, medium to small is good. It depends really on how good your computer is. If you have a really crappy computer, you might want to go down to pocket size. If you're running something with a really beefy CPU, maybe you want to do large. It's up to you. I'm just going to stick with medium for now. History. So when it generates this world, and you'll see this in a second, there's a history that goes along with it that's also generated. This can take a long time. I would never suggest you generate it for 1,050 years unless you want to wait for a couple weeks for it to finish. I'm going to go ahead and put it on short. Number of civilizations. This just shows it kind of gives you a little description, just different how many different distinct races and cultures there are. Medium's fine. Maximum number of sites, we can just keep that on medium. It's just how many unique places there are in the world. If there's a special tomb or a tower. Number of beasts, you want to keep that medium. It sounds a little scary, but you need meat to feed your dwarves. Savagery is how difficult it is to make how difficult it is to settle. We can just keep that at medium for now. If you're really new and you don't think too highly of yourself, or maybe you just want to I don't know, play kind of like a peaceful run, you might want to set it to very low, but medium really is manageable. Mineral occurrence, I'm just going to keep this at sparse, but again, if you're new to the game, you might want to take it to everywhere, so you just kind of get a little bit of a buff. So I'm going to press Y to go, and it's going to start generating this world. So I know it looks crazy. This entire game is actually made in ASCII. There are mod packs you can install that will change the graphics to be something a little bit more pleasant. But this first set of tutorials, I'm just going to do the vanilla game, and I think it's better to learn the vanilla game so that you can understand why mod packs are helpful, what they do exactly, and what the game's all about. So we have this world, and as you can see, we have these mountains over here. That's what the gray triangles are. The little green ends are hills. This yellow stuff over here, that's kind of like a sandy savanna kind of place, probably. I think these little quotation marks, I think those are like sandy areas, and then maybe these are dunes and things like that. All this purple stuff you see, that's evil. That's a goblin area. You really don't want to mess with that. And then this blue stuff, this kind of cyan teal color, I don't know what to call it, that's actually good stuff. There's kind of a balance that kind of ties into D&D, I guess, if you're familiar with that game. There's good, neutral, evil areas, and then those are either high savagery, medium savagery, or low savagery. So you can have like a high savage good place, you can have a low savage evil place, that kind of thing. And I'll tell you what all that means here in a second. So yeah, this game is amazing because what it's doing right now is it's generating entire populations. You see over here where it says historical figures, dead, and events. Those are all things that are happening right now because of each other. You know, it generates a set amount of characters at the beginning, and then they just do whatever they do. You know, they have these personalities, they have these cultural ideas and values that they develop over time as they build their civilizations scattered across this world. So as you can see here, there is 23,743 historical figures, 8,386 dead, and that many events, which means like battles, probably great writings, foundings of new sites and things like that. So now, after you generate it, you can use the arrow keys to kind of look around. At the top here, it will say what you're looking at. So this is like the continent that this is on, and then this is the biome that it's in. This is the symmetric desert that I'm looking at right here. This is a human hamlet. So there's four major races. There's the elves, of course, dwarves, humans, goblins, and then there's kind of kobolds, but they're not as important as the other races you'll be dealing with. Here we have a tomb in the Mellow Plains, but this entire continent is called the Coincidental Land. And then we go over here, so like this is the Island of Smoke, you know, and this is where all the good stuff is. So here we have the true taciturn steppes. These are all generated names. Sometimes you get the Confident Hills, sometimes you can get some pretty silly things. Over here, as I said earlier, this pink stuff, these are dark goblin pits. And these ohm-looking figures over here are actually Dwarven areas. So these are what Dwarven fortresses look like on the world map. So we're going to go ahead, accept this region. If you want, you can press A to abort. You can press P to export an image and a log of all of this stuff, all the history. You basically get a textbook on this world. It's pretty cool. So you press P to do that. It'll take a while because it has to do this giant image. But we're going to go ahead, press Enter to accept, and it's just going to kind of save that world. And I am really excited because this is possibly the best game ever, and it's still being worked on today, and it's free. So I suggest, you know, everyone get this game. It's really something. It does have a bit of a learning curve, but it's not impossible, you know. I figured it out. There's other tutorials on here. On YouTube, so you can definitely figure it out. And there are some, there's a wiki, the Dwarf Fortress wiki, which is very helpful, you know. There's tools out there is what I'm saying, so it's doable, and it's really rewarding if you overcome the learning curve. So it's going to take you back to the main menu. It's going to give you a new option. It's going to say start playing, so use your arrow keys, press enter to go there. And in Dwarf Fortress the game, there are three different modes. There's Dwarf Fortress, which is what we're going to be doing today. Then there's Adventurer mode, which is more of like an RPG or a roguelike kind of game, if you are familiar with those. And then there's Legends, which is a digital version of that textbook that you would have printed out, or not printed out, but saved onto your computer in a text file if you had pressed P back on the world screen. So we're just going to go to the top, Dwarf Fortress, which is kind of a strategy game. My favorite mode personally, and definitely the most popular. I mean, that's the name of the game. And so you see this calendar up at the top here. You can see these little highlighted numbers. Those are days passing by. And when you start a new game, 2 weeks always pass by. It's probably just to make sure no funny stuff happens. So here we are. So up here in the top corner over here, the top left corner, we see a local version. So this is like really zoomed in, right? Then we have the region, so this is zoomed out quite a bit, and then we have the world. So this is the entire world right here. This is kind of zoomed in, so this region map mode is just this area zoomed in a bit more, so you can see more details, you know. And then the local is like what you'll actually be dealing with when you get into the game. So yep, you can use the arrow keys to kind of look around here, move this little cursor right here, and then you'll see this cursor move kind of slowly down there. Yeah, we got some kind of Dutch flag thing going on here. So what you can do next is you can press tab and it will switch different zones. So right now this is what we're looking at, this little highlighted area in the local region. And if you go over to the right, it says this is the Good Prairies. That's the name of the biome. It's a temperate grassland, the temperature, temperate, trees, sparse, other vegetation, moderate, surroundings, untamed wild. So that means this is a neutral zone that is very savage. You know, you can expect a lot of animals here to come beat you up. You know, you can expect some animals that are more vicious than normal animals. So I really can't think of anything in a prairie that would, you know, like maybe a mega prairie dog. Um, but yeah. So what we're gonna do to find the best biome, or yeah, the best embark location as they call it, we're gonna press F. And that will help you find a desired location. As you can see here on the right, this is now changed to different settings that you can set. So you use the arrow keys again to navigate this. So for instance, you know, as a new player, you probably want low savagery. So you use the side arrow keys to change these options. You might want low evil, you know. I'm just going to keep that at NA. Usually, evil and good places are so rare, you know, it's not really something you'll bump into too much, unless you're looking for it. Elevation doesn't really matter that much. Temperature, I don't care too much. Rain, you know, you might want some rain because that will usually mean there's more, you know, there's more trees and vegetation for you to cut down. You do want a flexstone layer. Flexstone is used in combination with different ores to improve those ores. So that's how you turn iron into steel, for instance. And I think that might be its only use. I'm sure there's some other uses, but it's definitely its most useful use. You do not want an aquifer. This game is, you know, depends on how you play it, but for a beginner, you definitely want to be digging down into the earth, and it would suck if there's a giant aquifer down there blocking your way. River. I usually like to have a river. It's definitely not required, but it's nice to have a river because that way you know there's some fresh water for your dwarves to drink if you ever happen to run out of booze. And it's also a place for them to fish, you know, so the food supply. Shallow metal. Yeah, you'll want some shallow metal. You can even set it to multiple. Let's just see if we can get, you know, multiple of these metals. That would be really nice, but I kind of doubt it will happen. You definitely want some soil. So you can set it to deep, some, or little. I usually go with little. Clay is useful for like pottery and stuff. You know, it's definitely not needed, but if you want to go that route, you know, you want to make a famous fortress known for its pottery, you can go ahead and do that. Soil used for farming. So then after you're done setting your specifications, your parameters, you press enter. And what it'll do is it'll start searching the entire world for what you're looking for. So you can see all this red on the world and region map. Those are all the places it's searched. And it'll turn green if it finds anything. It looks like there hasn't really been anything found yet. Oh, hey. Looks like there's something down there. That's nice. Those little green X's next to the mountains down there, that means it's a found location that has what we're looking for. Even though we're kind of stringent and needy with our specifications, it looks like we actually found something. So it'll automatically teleport your cursor in that general area. And before you do anything else, you'll want to press escape to browse your results. Otherwise, you'll mess with the settings again. So your cursor is the yellow X. That's what you navigate. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different locations that have been offered to us here. Again, these ohm signs are fortresses, so you don't want to embark on these ohm signs because you will just be in someone else's business. These little brown lines are roads, and these A's are human hamlets. So let's look for a good place. So this has shallow metals, deep metals, and a flexstone layer, but it does not have any trees in this biome. This is the mountain biome, the Horn of Fortune. But if you press F1, you can see the different biomes. So here's one of the mountain biomes. It has wilderness surroundings, still no trees. F2 shows us a more calm mountains. F3 shows us a tropical savanna. So as you can see in the local region, it highlights the different biomes. So depending on what your highlighted area is touching, it will show you these different biomes. So the tropical savanna has some soil, shallow metals, deep metals, flexstone. It's warm. Trees are sparse, but it's better than none. And it has moderate other vegetation. I think what we're going to do, mountains are nice to build into, but we kind of want more trees. So I think what I'll do is I'll press U to move my highlighted area up here. You can press U to go up, K to go to the side, H to go to the other side, and M to go down. I'm using an AZERTY keyboard, so it looks a little different for me, but if you're using an American keyboard, it goes up, down, left, right. So we'll kind of put ourselves more into the tropical savanna. We want that soil, we want what trees we can get. Actually, let's go take a peek at to what these are over here, these smaller ends. This is a rocky wasteland. Yeah, we don't really want that. So, whoops. So we'll just go back down here. I do want some mountains, because mountains are cool, very dwarfy. And I definitely want this blue line to be part of my Embark zone, because that means that's the river. So yeah, we will go here. So after you found your location, what you should do next is press Tab. And what Tab will do is it will show you different modes of viewing this map. So right now what we're looking at here on the right is our neighbors. So we're going to have dwarves, humans, elves, and goblins as our neighbors. And those are really the only neighbors you can get. As I said, there's 4 different major races. That little red line next to the goblins means that we are at war with the goblins. Our civilization is at war with these goblins. But they're still friendly with the humans and elves who will trade with you. We press tab again, it will show us our civilization. So these are the different dwarven civilizations. There's 5 of them. These are all randomly generated. They all have their different locations. If we look at the world right now, we see these blue fortresses over on the side. That's what we have selected right now. So these blue fortresses are the Lantern of Clinching. It really doesn't matter, but thematically I prefer to have a civilization, or to be a part of a civilization that's closer to where I am. So I use the plus and minus keys to navigate this. We have the Room of Nourishment, which is right next to me, so I might choose them. The Net of Judging, which is on a completely different continent. The Tattooed Staff, which actually seems to be a competitor of the Lantern of Clinching on those mountain ranges. And we have this Scald Stake, which is actually pretty close to me too, and they look pretty big and spread out. Your civilization can die, so you kind of want, especially if you're a beginning player, you kind of want a civilization that looks strong. So I think I'm going to stick with this. Press tab again, you can see elevation levels. This is very low, but then it gets very high very quickly. You can see cliffs, so this is all zeros and ones and threes, and then we have a little a really a bit of a medium cliff in that 4 in the corner of our highlighted region you can see here. And then it takes us back to the biome screen. So what we're going to do now, you can also press Shift UMKH to resize your local area, but I really don't think that matters. So what we're going to do is we're going to press E for Embark. Now it's going to take you to this screen. You can either play now or prepare for the journey carefully. In this tutorial, we're going to prepare for the journey carefully. I suggest you do that because it's a little bit more complex, but it will definitely help you kind of specialize your dwarves depending on what location you're heading into. You know, if you're heading into a tropical jungle, maybe you want 2 woodcutters so you can cut, you know, more wood. We're going to be kind of in a savanna, so we only need 1 woodcutter. So it shows you your 7 dwarves here. Yes, very cute. And their names. So there's Fath, Toulon, Ineth, Udil, Locum, Ariel, Logum. So I'm just going to kind of show you a general layout that you might want to follow. It's not needed, but it's there. And you can just follow this. It works for me pretty well. There's definitely a lot of guides out there that will give you a large selection of different things, and there's a lot of mod packs that will actually come with some Embark layouts. But this is what I usually use. I usually have 2 miners because you're going to be doing a lot of. That's how you build houses, pretty much. We're going to have 1 woodcutter who's also a carpenter. Carpenters build beds and furniture made out of wood, just like in real life. And then I'm going to have 2 farmers as well. I'm going to have a grower and an herbalist. Herbalists, I believe, collect plants, or are better at collecting plants, and growers actually grow the plants. I just need 1 herbalist, really. I really don't think we're going to be... I mean, every dwarf can, you know, pick a crop, basically. It doesn't really take that much skill. Again, using arrow keys to navigate through this, plus and minus to add points, so you can go all the way to proficient or down to not. And this will take up your points. You see you have a little bit of an allotment down here, points 365. And as you increase it, you know, it takes 5, and then it takes, you know, 6, and it grows how much it costs. So you can't just have like a, well, you can if you really want to. You can have, like, you know, a bunch of proficient miners, you know, or axemen or something like that. So as you see here, this is a long list of things, but really don't let it intimidate you. So I'm going to have a brewer. Brewers are very important to Dwarven society. I'm also going to have a, let's get a animal caretaker. This will be the guy that kind of puts the animals in their pens and all that. And what else do I want him to be? An ambusher, or maybe a trapper. Yeah. I'll have him be a butcher and an ambusher. And then we go down here. Did I have a cook yet? No, I did not. So we're also going to have a cook, and we'll make the cook also a fisher dwarf. So fisherman and a thresher. Then we'll go down here. And so these are kind of more of like, I don't know, social skills. What some people will do is they'll have, you know, record keepers and stuff, so they can go ahead and start that really quick, but I usually just, you know, don't put any points into that. I'm going to make the fisherman a swimmer. It's usually a good idea. Dwarves will drown. So let me just make sure I have all this. Alright, and then we will want a mason. So I'll make one of the miners a mason as well. And yeah, this is very basic. You can do a lot of things with this, you know, depending on where you're landing. You know, if you expect to have a lot of metals, maybe you want to start out with a metalsmith already. What we're going to do now is we're going to press tab, and that's going to bring us to our item page. You can see here we have 2 copper picks, 2 copper battle axes, an anvil, some wine, uh, plants, that kind of stuff. And then over on the other side we have animals. It's always a good idea to have more females than males. You know, a male can impregnate multiple females. Um, so we want some dogs. They're good for defending the fortress and just being good companions for the dwarves. Maybe some cats to kind of eat some mice and stuff and keep things a little cleaner. Um, let's see, what else do we want? Usually what I'll do is I will get some hen to kind of make eggs and all that, so you can get a couple of hens. You know, they're pretty cheap, so you can usually get a lot of them, and a rooster to fertilize the eggs. But you know, that's not necessarily needed. I usually like going for I don't know, like let's see. Oh, we can actually have 2 empty camels. I usually like having turkey hens. I think they, I'm trying to remember this correctly. I think they hatch the most eggs. Like they're the most efficient egg makers, and it shows you their sex. You know, if you don't know animal terms. So we got a turkey gobbler and 6 turkey hens. That looks pretty good. And I'll go ahead and get some boars. You know, we'll be a pork fortress. We'll get 1 male boar and 2 female boars. We really don't need 2 battle axes, I don't think. We only have 1 woodcutter. A battle axe is used to cut wood. You do want to keep your anvil because you know, you can get rid of it, and you would probably be fine because you could probably buy one from a merchant. But it's usually a good idea to keep it just in case, you know, something funky happens. All the merchants don't like you anymore. So to add a new item, you press N, and it'll bring you this really big list. It's categorized though, so we just have anvils, iron anvil, perfect. So that's back. You want a lot of booze. In my opinion, they really don't give you enough booze in this game, and it's really important. Your booze is what keeps dwarves sane. If they do not have booze, they will suffer. These spawn and seeds are what you plant into the ground to make plants. Plump helmets are kind of the very versatile one. You can eat them, you can make them into wine. Pigtail, that's more of like a clothy kind of cotton, you know, it's the dwarven version of cotton, I would say. Cave wheat is what it sounds like. Sweet pods, I think you can eat that and brew it, much like you can plump helmets, but plump helmets you can grow at any season, I believe. So I prefer plump helmets than most people do. So I'll get a good amount of that. We have for food, and this is randomized depending on your location. I think it's really cool. So evidently there's a lot of giant moth brains in our region or in our civilization. We have 15 cave lobsters, nice to cook up some fine meals to make for our dwarves. Plump helmets, 15. Pigtail thread, cloth, bags, ropes. I usually keep it like that. We don't usually need that many quivers. Buckets, splints, crutches, wheelbarrows, stepladders. These are really easy to make. Usually I get rid of the stepladder. You don't know if there's anything you can use a stepladder for, so I think it's kind of silly that it's there as default. You know, crunches and splints are pretty handy to have, and buckets too, I guess, so we'll keep that. Maybe get an extra wheelbarrow instead of the stepladder. And then we're going to go back up here. We're going to maybe get some more wine, more beer, ale, definitely. Let's see here, maybe some more cave, sweet pod wheat seeds. Dimple cups are also kind of cute. And we'll get just an extra moth brain for the heck of it. As you can see down here, I've used all my points. And again, you know, you navigate with the mouse keys and you add or subtract with the plus or minus signs. This seems very weird to you now. It will definitely become. It's something you have to commit to muscle memory, and it'll become natural to you. Um, so you're going to press F, Shift F to name the fortress. Usually what I just do is I press R to randomize until it comes up with something cute. So Paddle Earth, that's kind of cute. Empire Bridges, Net Tongs. I will keep it like Net Tongs. Kibolin is the Dwarven version, and Net Tongs is the human translated version, or the Earthling translated version. And you can kind of use this form, so you navigate this again like you do the other things, and you press enter when you want to change that. So if you want to have a hyphen compound, you go down to hyphen compound, press enter, and then you look at what you want. It tells you, oh, this is a prefix, you know. And this is what it is. So it's animal in Earthling, and then Emar in Dwarven. And then you can be like, oh, I want Net Abbey, or Net Ale. We'll keep it at Net Ale. And then it changes it to Kib Mabdug, and then you can be like Kip Nettail the apes or the animal. But I don't want that, so I'm going to press C to clear that. I'm going to press escape to done, and then you press Shift G to name your group. This is the 7 dwarves that are going to found this new land. Think of the Oregon Trail. So this is the Rosy Blockade. I think that sounds good. You can change it if you want to. R to randomize is probably what I would suggest. You can also press E to kind of search through this. So I don't know, God, or I want Gore, and it'll show you the name for Gore. It is limited, they don't have a name for anything, but they have a name for most things. Belly, cat, probably, yeah. So, yeah, that is good, and you can save this. You can press S to save it, and you can be like, I don't know, newbie, first try, enter save. There you go. You go back to your dwarves. You're like, alright, this looks good. So you press E to embark. Don't freak out. It'll take a little while to load everything. Sit back, relax, wait for it to load. Here we go. You have arrived. After a journey from the mountain homes into the forbidding wilderness beyond, your harsh trek has finally ended. Your party of 7 is to make an outpost for the glory of all Kudistastis. That's the name of your civilization. There are almost no supplies left, but with stout labor comes sustenance. Whether by bolt, plow, or hook, provide for your dwarves. You are expecting a supply caravan just before winter entombs you. But it is spring now, enough time to delve secure lodgings ere the hyenas get hungry. A new chapter of Dwarven history begins here at this place. Kib Mabdug. Net Ale. Strike the earth. Alright guys, thanks for watching. That was my first little tutorial on generating a world in Dwarf Fortress. I know it was a bit long, and hopefully the other tutorials will be a little bit shorter. So yeah, thank you very much for watching.